Hello and welcome to the National Weather Service Houston-Galveston weather briefing. This briefing will take a look at the drought conditions and recent rainfall, and then we will also be discussing the tropics and what we can expect in next month or two. This is the latest Drought Monitor. And the main thing to take away from this image is that most of the area of southeast Texas is under severe to extreme drought. The extreme drought being mainly along the coast and then also through the Brazos Valley. But overall, very dry conditions. One thing to note is this graphic does not account for the recent rainfall, and we'll take a look at that. This image shows the rainfall for the month to date, so the last 19 days in July. And we can see in these yellow and oranges and even some of the red pixels that we basically have 3 to 5 inches of rainfall across the Interstate 10 area, through Houston, and then through Galveston Bay and Chambers County. Certainly some higher amounts towards the hill country and central Texas. And we've had some good rainfall amounts across the Brazos Valley, mainly from Madisonville through to Crockett, and also a good amount of rainfall through Matagorda Bay and down along the coastal plain. But there is a pretty good hole where not a whole lot of precip has fallen across Fort Bend and Brazoria counties, and we will take a look at the deficits in the next slide. So here we have the year-to-date departure from normal, and in these orange areas, that's where you have 8 to 12 inches of rainfall deficits. So those are areas that are short 8 to 12 inches of rainfall for the year. These red areas are 12 to 16 inches of rainfall deficits. So some of the areas in even Galveston County and Brazoria County, a couple other spots that are as much as 12 to 16 inches below normal. Interesting note that the Katy area and even towards Sugar Land and then the east side of Houston, some of these areas have actually had normal rainfall for the year. And even farther north, basically from Huntsville over to Lake Livingston, that area has actually had some pretty decent rainfall, near normal for the year. The Brazos Valley, it's still behind, but not too terribly bad as compared to some of the areas. So let's shift gears and move into the tropics. We are coming up on the peak of hurricane season. This graphic shows the climatology of hurricane and tropical storm development as we move with time. And as you can see, the number of storms that start to developing through August 20th starts to really increase. So that is the period, the next month or so that we are headed into, is that we should see hurricane and tropical storm development increase in the next month. And then after August 20th through the peak through September 10th, we really should see a lot more tropical development. So we still have quite a ways to go for hurricane season. And then after September 10th, it does drop off. But there is still quite a bit of activity in beginning of October. So in the past, where do storms form? These are tropical cyclones that have formed during July 21st through July 31st. So the last several days, 10 days or so of July, we certainly have some Atlantic storms that have formed, but there are still some storms that have formed in the Gulf. So we still need to be aware of this. And then heading into August, this is where we can expect that main development. We can expect more development out towards the Atlantic over the Eastern Caribbean, and these storms will typically move across the Caribbean or the Western Atlantic and head towards the Atlantic coast, and certainly the Gulf of Mexico will be a target as well, and the Gulf Coast. So again, this is that time of year that we need to be on our toes and really make sure we have that preparations and plan in place for what happens if we do get the threat of a hurricane. Right now, here is the latest tropical weather outlook from the National Hurricane Center. This satellite image shows at least some thunderstorm activity in the Gulf associated with an upper level low pressure system. That's what's been giving us some of the rainfall recently. But the rest of the tropics are very quiet, and we will have to watch for some tropical waves to come off the coast of Africa and move into the Atlantic, or any other development to occur. But right now, headed towards the end of July, it looks like a quiet period may continue. So just to summarize, we have had some good rainfall the last several days. There have been areas that have gotten 3 to 5 inches of rainfall. This has helped some of the drought conditions, but the problem is that there are still some large deficits to overcome, and this will allow for those drought conditions to remain in place and quite possibly worsen as we go through the summer if we do not get more rainfall. As I said, the drought will continue, and looks like, if anything, the extreme drought might get trimmed back a little bit, but quite possible even the next week that we could see a good area of severe drought across southeast Texas. And the tropics are quiet for now, but should be ramping up. Again, the seasonal forecast is for 20 named storms. But remember, it only takes one to threaten the area, and we ask that you have your hurricane plan in place and be prepared. Thank you for listening to this briefing, and please check back for any updates.